Well, thank you very much for your time today. So I'm going to ask you a few questions on around the topic of Leadership Reimagined. So firstly, can you give me just a little bit of a background on your journey so far and how you've got to where you are today?
I have a law degree from the university, so it's a bit unusual in this business. My first job was basically in the reinsurance business, so far away from petrochemicals. After that, I joined. I was already in an oil company, but then I joined the oil product supply team and trading. That brings me the beginning of my career in petrochemicals. So that was at the beginning. It was 2002. And I was for a while in charge of the propylene business. So we were a big producer of propylene. So I was in charge of those sales. And after that, I moved to a position where I was in charge of the feedstock supply of our steam cracker and optimization of these steam crackers in Europe. After that, I was moved to the polymers division, so a bit downstream, and I was in charge of all our European polymer business, meaning polyethylene, polypropylene, and polystyrene. And then I come to my today role. So I am in base chemicals division inside the refining and base chemicals European division, in charge of marketing and sales of olefins, aromatics, and styrene. At the end of the university, so a long time ago, I was looking for a job, and a friend of mine showed me an article with an interview of Mr. Demer. Mr. Demer was at the time CEO of a Belgian oil and gas company, Petrofina. And in this article, he was explaining his vision of management. And it was all about empowerment, flat structures, managing by objectives. And basically, I felt that that was exactly what I was looking for. So basically, this reading had two consequences. First, I applied for a job in that company, although I had no special personal interest in the oil and gas business. And secondly, I tried to manage and be managed in the same way. And at some point in time in my career, in the annual appraisal, my manager wrote, Jean-Francois doesn't need a boss. And so that was a great satisfaction.
Based on that leadership, so is there a leadership lesson that you've learned during your career that you can't find on an MBA course or in management books?
For sure, one is I would say treat everybody the same, whatever the state of the business, whatever the news they bring, because I think there is a human tendency to warmly welcome people bringing good news. And it might be because the business environment is good or whatever. And on the contrary, to heavily challenge the people coming with bad news. The aim is to encourage people to continue to inform you whatever happens, and not having people being afraid to bring bad news. So at least you should know everything going on. And the second one is basically trust the people and they will reward you. It has always been the role of leaders to manage the present while preparing the future. So I think that in the current period, this is even more exacerbated. And the word disruption is the correct one. I mean, our company, together with many others, has committed to net zero emission in 2050. With challenging intermediary targets already in 2030 mainly. And these commitments will provoke a drastic evolution of our portfolio of activities. We will slow down some activities, and we will transform others, and we will start new ones. And so this portfolio evolution will require a different set of skills. I mean, within the company as a whole, And the role of the management is this transition is multiple. I think first we need to reassure people about the future and their future in the company. We need to explain them very clearly the transition we are going through, so that they know where we are, they know, they understand where we want to go, and they understand what will be the consequences of this evolution. And so it will require as well upskilling or reskilling the people with basically the goal to keep everybody on board of the company, because that's also the wish of the company. We aim at being a reference as a responsible employer. As a company in transition, we want to guarantee an equitable transition for all our employees. And speaking about diversity, to start with, our company is active in 130 countries and have 160 different nationalities represented in the company. So it's very diverse. We have a clear objective to reinforce the diversity and inclusion. And we want to offer, to start with, women and men the same career opportunities up to the top management positions. A few years ago, a diversity council has been created inside the company. And this council is headed by one member of the executive committee with the task to follow up and dynamize our diversity objectives. We have instituted a week of diversity and inclusion. And basically, this year, 3,000 employees around the world in 180 different affiliates have discussed during workshops about different themes like diversity, intercultural and intergenerational relationship, handicap, sexual orientation, gender identity. So, so there is a real push to make diversity at the center of the day-to-day life in the company. A few years ago, we created a TWICE network, which stands for Total Women's Initiative for Communication and Exchange. And the aim is to contribute to the professional evolution of women inside the company. And so, for example, we have mentoring actions with top management representatives mentoring younger women in the company to enhance their careers and help them building their network in the company. We implement new ways of working. Home working was already possible before COVID, and I would say that it is now becoming part of the company culture. We have also put in place 2-3 years ago a new program called Manager Coach. It gives basically the managers clear management objectives alongside the business objectives, and both for the management of individuals and for the management of the groups. It comes along with dedicated management training. For example, we encourage all managers to take part to what we call manager co-development sessions, where two managers will share their management practices and difficulties with the help, but then possibly with an external coach or not. But it's really a way to push the manager to improve basically their management capabilities. It's a real effort that has been that is being made to improve the management skills with the aim to promote and support their people.
In your eyes, is the industry doing enough to reach out to the next generation to bring them on board?
I think that we never do enough, but I'm not convinced that our industry is known enough by younger people. So I'm always impressed when we organize, for example, site visits for young people, or we organize open days for the families and so on. How young people are surprised when they discover the reality of our businesses, life, which is basically very often very far from their mental representations of what is a petrochemical industry. So I think we need to take more initiatives to communicate it, to be present in the university and the high school. Acceleration of change is amazing. Basically, we are studying and doing things we were not speaking about 5 years ago. It might be a bit scary, but it's also, I think, really exciting. It's certainly exciting for people inside the company to know that they are working together with the wishes of the society. But I think as well that most people outside of our company do not realize how much the focus inside our company or companies has changed, moving from a known state of the art to a new one requires time and money and efforts and new ideas and new technologies. So I think the biggest challenge is the pace of transition, the pace of the transition. So many people expect or think that the transformation is not rapid enough, that we can change from one day to the other. We know that when we make investments, it is for decades. And when you have to take this decision with new technologies, it cannot happen from one day to the other.